Welcome to This Week in Missouri Politics. We are back in the studio after our college tour. A little break in that to talk shutdown, and we are here with one of the folks in Missouri that is at the absolute tip of the spear on this issue. Congressman Mark Alford, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Always appreciate being on your show.
We talk about shutdown, I think of one thing first, and that's the military, and that is your constituents.
Right.
What is the effect this shutdown is having on our military? Because if we don't have a military, none of the rest of it seems to matter to me.
Yeah, I think this is one of the biggest tragedies with the Schumer shutdown. We are now over 30 days of this madness. Chuck Schumer has really poured gasoline on America and willing to light the match, unfortunately, through misery. And part of that misery he is inflicting is on our military, our good folks out at Whiteman Air Force Base, Rosecrans, and, of course, Fort Leonard Wood in my district. You know, thank God President Trump found the money this last pay cycle to pay our troops. Some of them qualify to be on food stamps, which I think is horrendous. We worked hard on the Armed Services Committee to make sure that through the Quality of Life panel, they got a raise. In the One Big Beautiful Bill, we gave them a big, beautiful raise. The problem is the Democrats want to go back on that. They want to do away basically with the tenets of the One Big Beautiful Bill because they didn't like it. And so they have stuck really a stick in our spokes for our funding. And, you know, I'm on the Appropriations Committee now. We got all 12 bills out of committee. It was tough work to do that. We got 3 on the House floor voted on.
And that's the first time in how many years have you guys actually done a budget?
9 years that we've gotten, you know, we're trying to move back to regular order. And Scott, I'll tell you the truth. Before I got here, I didn't know really what regular order was. I was never into politics, but I've learned so much on the appropriations process and in this committee about how it's supposed to be. We're trying to avoid these big omnibus bills that Nancy Pelosi operated under, where they'd have these huge, thick bills that you couldn't even read, and you had to vote on it and then find out what was in it. We're not doing that anymore. We just needed 7 more weeks to continue the process for the 2026 funding. And the Democrats hate Trump so much, and they're so fearful of AOC taking over Chuck Schumer's seat, that they keep voting. They voted 13 times now not to fund our government.
I am by no means an expert on the federal government or federal policy or federal lawmaking, but I do watch perception. I've seen these shutdowns. If Nicaragua or Costa Rica ran their country like this, we'd be like, those poor people. It's so terrible they have to live there. I do think, though, in this situation, right, wrong, and different, the public is blaming the Democrats. And I think there is. I have many, many friends that are Democrats. I have many people on this show that are Democrats. There is a hatred for Trump. There was an irrational hatred for Barack Obama from some Republicans.
Yeah.
I have seen this go to a different level. Republicans did not hate Joe Biden. I think part of it was most folks thought Joe Biden was probably diminished and had some pity or sympathy for him. I did not see Republicans treat Joe Biden this way. Donald Trump has a way of just blowing people's minds, some of his supporters, but certainly his detractors. And I think from a public perspective, the Democrats are getting blamed for this. And I think a lot of it is just there's just such a shrill hatred for President Trump.
And Scott, that's why my job is so important, having been a former broadcaster and journalist, to help in the messaging on this. Not something that's lies or made up, but that we did our job. On September 19th, we voted to fully fund women, infants, and children. We voted to fully fund the SNAP program. We voted to continue to pay the military because we passed this clean CR, continuing resolution, as we call it, the current level spending. There was actually 2024 spending that we've kind of kicked the can down the road. You know, we've talked about this. I hate these CRs, but we are on the right track. We're moving in the right direction. And so I think the American people, even mainstream media, I'm watching on ABC on these Sunday shows, they're calling out the Democrats. They know that it's the Democrats' fault, and that all they have to do to unlock the keys to the government, to turn the lights back on so that we can get back to regular order and the process we're supposed to be doing, is just vote for what we voted on September 19th.
I've been giving you credit for calling it the Schumer shutdown. I mean, it's a little unfortunate the Democrat leader's last name starts with an S. I've been giving you credit for that. I assume you're the one that came up with that term.
I did, and I will give credit to Ted Koppel for the Iranian hostage crisis when they started Nightline. That's how it all, you and I remember that. And each day we post a very similar picture of Chuck Schumer where the Ayatollah was, and I say, it is day 30, America held hostage, the Schumer shutdown. I hope that resonates with people because it's the truth. This singular man, because of his fear, arrogance, pride, has shut down the government. He is so scared of losing to AOC, and they hate Trump that much, they don't want to win. And Scott, here's the other thing. I was just talking with my staff. Even if we get back to business here in Washington, and yes, I'm here for a couple of days. I'm coming back to Kansas City tonight. I don't think this is the end of it. They are going to try to cause chaos in our federal government to make people so miserable and to make our economy tank. They see what President Trump is doing and the success he's had with the tariffs and the success he just had with Xi Jinping in his meeting. And in all these problems that he's solving, they're scared of it, and they want to win the midterms and regain control of the House and make Hakeem Jeffries Speaker. And I guarantee you, come January 3rd of 2027, if that happens, everything will be about the impeachment of Donald J. Trump. They are licking their chops for that.
I tell you, of course the Democrats want Hakeem Jeffries to be Speaker. Of course they have a set of policy objectives. Now, oddly enough, Dick Gephardt fought his whole life for some of the policies Donald Trump's implementing right now. But when Trump was for it, I watched it with tariffs. Trump came out and was for tariffs, and Democrats who'd fought for tariffs their entire career all of a sudden were against them.
Yeah,
I do think there's something different about the hatred of Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump, he does act different than any president in my lifetime. There's no doubt. And some of the stuff he does is kind of crass. But the level of hatred that I've watched for Democrats is unlike anything I've ever seen. It is truly a hatred. And I actually think your average American that's not particularly plugged in either side, they don't really care who wins some of this stuff. I think they think the Democrats they know are so shrill right now about Trump that I do think that's why they've shut the government. That's a little bit of fear of AOC probably. But the reason they're afraid is it is a Democratic Party issue. I see this no king stuff, and I don't know any normal person at Dave's and Taos that thinks that Donald Trump is a king. I don't know any normal person when I stop at Fitter's in Warrensburg that thinks that Donald Trump's a king. They're talking about things. This week I was lucky enough to be in Greenfield, down in Dade County. I was in Jasper County. I stopped at Hot Rods and Roads right on the Kansas line. Yeah. Nobody thought Donald Trump was a king. It's like they say no kings. I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, you're right. But it's a detachment from reality to a certain extent.
Well, Scott, it's clear that since the November election, almost a year ago now, it seems like a lifetime this year, but they have no message, they have no vision, they have no leader. Hakeem Jeffries is certainly not a leader. Now, I do not like Nancy Pelosi, but she led the Democrats with an iron skillet.
So
mop you over the
head. You have to give
didn't
credit where it's due. A foundational politician of our age. I mean, she, like her, not like her, you talk about a gravitas of a leader. Nancy Pelosi.
She got it done.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, though.
They don't have that now.
Well, so I agree. Most folks, whether it's
around like a drowning victim out in the middle of the Lake of the Ozarks, and you dare not go near them because they're going to take you down.
What is something the Republicans could have done a little differently here? I mean, I do think regular folks are blamed, whether it's good messaging, whether it's facts, combination. I think folks are blaming the Democrats for this by and large. What is something the Republicans could have done to fix this or could do today as an olive branch to get this done? Because you are reaching the point where I think regular Americans are starting to notice some things aren't getting done, and it's actually going to start to impact folks' lives. It's no longer a political game. Now I think regular people are starting to suffer. What is something you could have done differently or that you could do today?
Sure. I've been thinking about this because Mike Johnson, you haven't met, he's a man of integrity, and I truly believe that the thinking was from our leadership is, hey, we just need a little more time. We've gotten these through the Appropriations Committee, which was hard work. We just need 7 more weeks. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have voted for the exact same continuing resolution some 9 times before, most recently in March. Well, that's when Chuck Schumer caught holy, you know what for it.
Yeah.
By the Marxist side of his party. But anyway,
it's his party, too, as much as it is.
What we should have done, Scott, I think, maybe we should have added some conservative writers or cuts in the continuing resolution to have bargaining chips. But Mike is such a great guy, and I think our leadership is as well. They're thinking, we'll just do the clean CR and move on about the business. The problem is it is so broken with the Democrats right now. They are not thinking rationally. They're playing chess. Sometimes we're playing checkers. we're going to have to step it up because this is not going to be the end of this.
All right, talk to me. I saw something the president did that was very head-scratching. I like his America First policies. For some reason now we're bailing out Argentina. I've never seen a lot of successful economies in South America. I personally don't care about Argentina. Nobody at Hot Rods and Roads cared about Argentina. Now he's buying their beef. I don't understand how this is America First. It looks like some South American screwball nation first.
Malay is very important to us, and here's why. You've heard of the Belt and Road Initiative from Communist China. They are down in Argentina big time. The Argentinians let them in because they promised to help them build roads and bridges down in the Patagonia area, the southern part of Argentina. They had built an entire city there and now won't let the Argentinians in. This is a national security issue, the Belt and Road Initiative. The Chinese are setting up and infiltrating different countries in our hemisphere. And if something should happen in the next couple of years where they move on Taiwan, they're not going to be limited to Taiwan. They are going to call in the chips, basically, call their markers.
I'm not saying that's not a terrible thing for the Argentinian people. I just don't know anyone in Pettis County that gives a damn about the Argentinian people. I watched the federal government pour money into Ukraine. The argument was, why do we care? I would care even less about this. And also, right. Let's just be real. If you're in Miller County raising cattle today, why is the president you voted for 3 times wanting to buy beef from Argentina?
I agree with that.
You've just finally got meat prices up to where cattle prices are up where you can make a profit.
Right. And Scott, I have been to auction houses while I was home, visited with farmers and ranchers. I am 100% on board with the cattlemen and women of Missouri and protecting what they have built. The problem is, the last 2 or 3 years, we've had D3, D4 droughts in our district. It's been very bad. The herds have been sold off. I think we're at the lowest level of cattle herds in 75 years. That has driven the price up. But the cattle ranchers have suffered for a long time. It's time they make a little money.
Exactly.
I get that.
They can eat cashew chicken in Argentina for all I care about.
What's that?
They can eat cashew chicken in Argentina for all I care about.
Exactly.
It's about time for Missouri farmers and ranchers to make more money.
Is low grade. When I was in Argentina, I was really looking forward to a steak there. It's crap. Okay, it does not compare at all.
So.
And they bring it here to mix in with hamburger to lean out the hamburger. But I get the point. We should not be causing damage to our producers in Missouri or anywhere else in America by, I think, supplementing extra dollars to Argentina. That is separate than the economic stabilization fund that we contributed, I forgot how many billions of dollars to Argentina. They're 2 separate issues, but we're America first. Trump is America first. He is looking out for the interest of America and supporting Malay, whether we might agree or not agree with some of those decisions. That's what's behind that, okay?
Well, Congressman Alford, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Hopefully you can come where they get the government back operating.
Thank you very much. I'm heading back to Kansas City, and I've spent a lot of time in the district. We visited almost all of our 18 rural hospitals, talking to them about the rural health care fund that the Democrats are trying to get rid of. And we're going to get through this, Scott. I appreciate your program.
Get home, get you some good barbecue. We appreciate the time.
All right. Take care.
We'll be right back. Sharon Jones joins us on our Opinion Maker panel after this.
The St. Louis Carpenters Union has shaped our communities. Through trusted alliances, we deliver skilled professional craftspeople while our business partners provide the kind of quality jobs that keep our economy humming. It's a blueprint that has worked since 1882. Turning Missouri into a right-to-work state stalls progress, wipes out jobs, and kills momentum. Right to work is wrong for everyone. Let's keep Missouri moving forward. Visit carpdc.org to learn more.
You know, Missouri farmers have been doing what's best for their land for generations. After all, no one knows what it takes to feed and fuel a growing global population better than they do. So why are trial lawyers threatening Missouri farmers' best defense against weeds? Our farmers don't need to be controlled. They need to be supported. Keep glyphosate in our state. Show your support at TakeControlMissouri.com. Paid for by Modern Ag Alliance in support of Missouri farmers.
Missouri's childcare crisis is hurting our children, families, and even our economy. Currently, 78 Missouri counties are designated as child care deserts, where the number of kids needing child care exceeds the number of available options. Today, some Missouri families are spending more on child care than housing, and Missouri's child care shortage costs our economy $1.35 billion every year. Missouri families and businesses deserve better. Learn more at mochampionofchildren.com.
We have a severe weather alert to report here. The storms also bring the threat of damaging winds and large
Here's the thing.
precipitation.
When storms bear down, we step up.
Ready to get? You bet.
Our teams are always ready to keep your power strong. Ameren.com/power-on.
Welcome back to This Week in Missouri Politics Opinion Maker Panel Time. First time on the show, Daniel Ellinger. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thanks for having me, Scott. Really appreciate it.
The second generation. We had Jamie Murphy, Jim Murphy. Now we've had Mark Ellinger. Now you. Thank
I
you
know. He's a frequent flyer, so I'm honored to be here. I appreciate it.
Jim Schulte, thank you so much for making the time. Kingdom of Callaway.
That's it. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate
Sharon Jones, thank you so much for joining us again for another show.
Always a pleasure.
And Chelsea Rodriguez, thank you so much for making the time. I love the green, very fall looking. Let's talk shutdown. I think if this was Nicaragua or Costa Rica or Argentina, we'd be like, those poor people have to live like that. That's so awful. What is the constant incompetency, no matter who's in power, who's in charge? This is not the way you would run something. Why can't these people figure it out?
I think we can see with the things they're trying to get done and the points of negotiation, who they're working for, and it's just not American families or Missouri families. I think they are answering to billionaires and corporate interests instead of governing. Republicans, it does matter who's in power now. Republicans have the House, the Senate.
They've had shutdowns and just incompetency. It's incompetency.
I think it's a failure to negotiate. The Republicans haven't shown up in weeks willing to even talk, and they control all the chambers. So if they wanted to end the shutdown, they just need to come to the table and give people health care. But they seem very unwilling to do that. They won't even show up.
Yeah, the Ellinger, where Democrats can't seem to figure this out. When they're in power, this thing shuts down. It is a bad look.
100%.
Maybe somebody should run for office that can figure this out if the people there can't.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem you have is, you have to get over that 60 vote threshold.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, and I would point out that there are some Democrats that have sided with Republicans. So there is part of that caucus that sees the issue here. I would also point out that this is a continuing resolution that the Democrat caucus voted for 12 times in the prior administration. There is no change in this. So at a certain point, you kind of have to look at, okay, we're negotiating over something that has already passed 12 times when there was a different administration in the White House. I mean, they think that they have an advantageous political hand here, but I think the American people are increasingly getting frustrated and realizing that they're the ones that are obstructing.
Look, Jim, I actually think, maybe this is just I've been in Dade County and Jasper County at a Missouri State football game this week, so maybe my radar's off. I think regular folks are kind of seeing that. I think they're maybe blaming the Democrats more for this one. It's incompetence on both parties, though, not to be able to keep the government over. Regular folks, USDA farm crop insurance, there's actual things that matter that are starting to suffer. When do these people grow up and both give a little bit and make government work?
Well, you're absolutely right, but it appears that the more we grow up there, the more narrow-minded and channeled we get with opposing views, and less negotiating going on, and less working together, and just these hard lines in the sand that nobody wants to be the one to break across it.
In your career, and you haven't even been there all that long, I'm sure there's been pieces of legislation that you've had to compromise, things you didn't particularly like, to get things you did like, and you did it because you're a grown-up.
So I spent my whole career in the military, so I draw a lot of this off of battle plans. You never go into any plan knowing it's going to be 100% successful and there won't be any casualties. So you got to decide what's the overall outcome going to look like versus do I stand my ground and like Custer and lose everything?
Sharon, I love having you on this show. You always have a thoughtful view on some of these things. This is my simple hillbilly white trash. I think there are some Democrats. I watched Trump screw up a lot of Republicans. There's a lot of normal people that love Trump so much, it's really warped their worldview, and they're not even happy people anymore. The Democrats feel like they just hate this guy so much, and that there are things to hate. I get that. It feels like there's such a shrill hatred that it is clouding some of their judgment, and maybe that's being shown in this shutdown.
Maybe. I think that there's a deeper issue here where, at the risk of taking things back to redistricting, everyone is more afraid of a primary than they are of a partisan opposition. So you get to this place where you can't get to compromise, you can't get to triangulation, you can't get to let's just do good governance because you are so terrified of an attack either from the right or the left, depending on your party. And we as the voters are responsible for that because we keep rewarding that behavior. So the more we get to this partisan split, the more we reward people who refuse to compromise, the more we're going to have these problems.
You're saying it's not they need to grow up, it's that we need to grow up.
Yeah.
I think that's why I love having you on the show. Chelsea Rodriguez, right now, are the Democrats succeeding in the messaging war in this? Because it feels like to me they're about a half step behind the Republicans.
I think you hit on something earlier, is the shrill hatred of Trump. I think that is a problem, especially among national Democrats, and how it dominates the conversation and how it dominates the governing then that is behind the messaging. We are so focused on winning that battle that we are not talking about the rising costs or the effects of the shutdown or why the shutdown is happening, right? Yes, we are always willing to compromise, but Democrats are not compromising over health care for millions of people in this instance. So
are they trying to get health care done and leverage the government being shut down? That's kind of what it feels like to me. They have a goal that they're very proud of, that's probably an altruistically good goal, but they're trying to use this situation in order to get that done, right?
I would push back. I think it's we need to fund these subsidies and we need to fund these things or people will lose health care. I would say if there is a reason to shut it down, it's not for tax breaks for the wealthy. It is to guarantee health care and food assistance. So that would be, yes, that line in the sand, I think I'm comfortable with.
You work at the highest levels of politics. They're all working for billionaires. It's just which billionaires are they working for, right? Every federal policy is going to benefit a billionaire.
I mean, well, those are the people that have the power to dictate legislation. Those are the people that have the power to write campaign contributions that are going to elicit promises from politicians. It's one of those things where it's like, don't hate the player, hate the game. I mean, at the end of the day, we have a system set up this way, so you have to figure out how to operate within that system and best represent your constituents. And quite frankly, I agree with a lot of what Chelsea said about how if we could just get back to talking about issues that the American people care about, that would be a good starting point, because what both sides would very quickly realize outside of the DC bubble is that most of us agree on 80 to 90% of stuff. We all want good schools. We all want safe streets. We all want economic prosperity. We all want national security. But rather, we divide into our little factions and hammer the 10, 15 that we don't agree on.
All right, how does this end, Chelsea? Do they fund the Obamacare subsidies, or is the Democrats been in the government just open to?
I really hope that they fund the
how will it end? You tell me.
Oh, I hate to say that I think if we're going to pick one side that's going to cave, it will be the National Democratic side. I hope that's not the case, but...
And when do they cave then?
Well, if they're going to do it, sooner's better.
Who caves and when?
The Democrats are always going to be the ones that give in order to prevent people from hurting.
I think there is some truth to that, and that's an admirable thing, though. Who caves and when?
Well, the Democrats will cave, but I think once the SNAP money is gone, and then the reality of everybody getting on their phone and calling in and complaining, that's going to shift the balance.
Who caves and when?
Democrats cave Wednesday of next week after the elections in New York, New Jersey, and Virginia.
Democrats cave maybe the week before Thanksgiving. Let's talk cattle. Sharon Jones.
Yes.
America First. There's hats and banners, and I like it. And then for some reason, we're bailing out some crappy Argentina country in South America. And then, to rub it in, about the time Missouri, the cattlemen, finally have prices up where they can make a profit, they want to buy Argentinian cattle and beef over ours. Yeah. What the hell happened to America First?
I don't know. I'm doing my part. I get my cow from Bastion Family Farms, Mexico meats. They are amazing. It is the best meat you will ever eat. It is fantastic. And I encourage more people to do that because that is the way that American farms were built in the beginning. And bailouts of any kind are never going to be sustainable in the long run.
Jim, I've been to Dave's and Taos. I've been to High Street Pub. No one gives a damn about Argentina, and no one knows why Donald Trump wants to care about Argentinian ranchers and cattlemen over Missouri cattle.
I'll just tell you, I sold 4 calves last month and bought the
Good
most
price,
money
huh?
I've ever gotten. Wow. However, talking to some of the big breeders and the big farmers, their inventory is running low.
Yeah.
We can't sustain this at these prices and then have a herd next year. So I think this is a way to help relieve some of that.
Any of your constituents want their tax dollars to go help Argentina? Is there even one?
No, probably not.
Daniel?
But I don't know that they're looking at the big picture and what. I think we need to have a sit down with. I think we need to have a sit down with Cattlemen's Association to see where we are at as an industry, and find out what's the impact and why are we doing.
Somebody should watch
We're not explaining this.
TWMP Daily next week. They might find that. Daniel, who cares about Argentina? And why would America first care about Argentina?
I would offer the perspective that I think the administration is coming from with this, which is you have a Secretary of State who his entire career has focused on this Western Hemisphere. And I would say that the administration right now is looking at, the rise of governments that are left-leaning or just, explicitly socialist in Latin
Why do we care?
I don't know that people do here.
I don't.
I'm offering the
Anybody at
administration's
Pizza House
perspective
in
on this.
Warrensville care? Because I'm going to bet you not one cares.
No, I'm guessing no. But I think that what their logic is to try to prop up a government that is more right-leaning that they view as a partner in Latin America.
So I don't give a damn about Argentina. I don't want to help them. You know who I want to help? I want to help Russellville here in Missouri. Don't care about Argentina.
I really wish that our Republican congressional delegation cared a little bit more about Argentina, because then maybe our soybean farmers would have been able to sell their goods to China. This is actually the second time we're bailing out Argentina over Missouri-specific ag interests.
That's a great idea.
I think it's, so maybe if they would wake up and instead of fighting to get more power by redrawing these maps, they just focused on governing, Missouri would do better.
This doesn't feel America first. This feels like Argentina first, and I don't give a damn about Argentina. 5th, 6th, 10th, 100th. Makes me no difference. With a minute left, Chelsea Rodriguez, who won the week?
Soybean farmers, because now China is allowed to buy them. So public pressure has worked a little bit. We've been raising hell about it, and now China gets to buy them again.
Who won the week?
I'm going to say criminal justice advocates in Missouri. Arnold Ventures has been slowly increasing their investments here, and they're going full hog in Missouri this year. So.
Outstanding. That's great news. Who won the
I'll
week?
say Donald Trump. He just did a whirlwind tour with all of the countries in the Middle East and China and came away with a win on every one of them.
Who won the week?
I'll take a sports angle. The LSU Tigers, who are finally rid of Brian Kelly.
I'm going to take a sports angle. I got to go down and watch one of the first nationally televised games at Missouri State University. Big night. They were on CBS Sports in Conference USA and won, by the way, 28-21 over Florida International. Good things are happening at Missouri State. They won the week. Hope you'll win the week next week. Speaking of colleges, we're back on our college tour next week at my alma mater, Southeast Missouri State University in Cape Girardeau. Join us then.
This Week in Missouri Politics is brought to you by the Missouri Automobile Dealers Association, Ameren, Spire, Evergy, and the Missouri Association of Career Fire Protection Districts.